I'm Lee Lambert. I'm the Pure ambassador. My job is a very exciting opportunity to expose this amazing program to as many people as possible. I thought it'd be a good idea to get to know the instructors. I've taken all the classes, so I've met all the instructors virtually. And I've got to say, we're it's unbelievable the level of expertise. So we're going to get through all of the instructors through this series of panels. And I requested these three first just because they're so attractive. They're so fun to look at. And so what I'm going to do is going to have each of these instructors. I'm not here to market. We're not trying to sell you the idea. We already got the idea. But I think it's good to know your instructors to have the confidence level that what they're going to be sharing with you is valid, is based in solid background. So each of the instructors are going to have an opportunity to sort of introduce themselves and give you a little bit about why they're instructors. I think that's always an interesting question to ask, and how they've gotten involved to the extent that they have. We have a very diverse group from literally all over the world. So it's interesting to me to learn how did you come about being associated with the Pure Management Alliance. I think what they've come up with here is outstanding. Some of you may know I'm one of the founders of the PMP, which is the quote gold standard for project management. And the reason I'm with Pure is I've concluded that what Joe's put together here is an incredible follow-on complement to the PMP. So we're not competing with them. We're actually attempting to make their process even more efficient. So I think people are going to get a chance to take a look at that, not to mention the PDUs and all the other things that go along with it. But knowledge is what we're after here. So let me start with Andrea. I mean, I think it should be ladies first, if you know what I mean. Now, Andrea, I got you a little backstory on her, so you know. She asked me to stop by the Bahamas. She lives in the Bahamas on my way back from Europe one time, and I thought I was going there for like a one hour presentation to some group, and the next thing I know, I'm in like TV interviews, radio interviews. I mean, it was grueling. It was grueling. So one meeting turned. So you got to watch her. She knows how to grow the scope big time. So Andrea, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Andrea Pratt-Smith. I am a project management consultant. I am the CEO of Creative Minds Project Development and Consultation. I am also the founder of the Bahamas Agile and Project Management Community, which is the first and only community of practice for Agilists and project managers homegrown in the Bahamas, but with a strong global reach. We have over 1,000 members at the moment, and we're growing daily. So, Lee, I really enjoyed your time that when you visited the Bahamas. I always have an open invitation for you for whenever you want to come back. And you also was very gracious to me when we co-presented at the PMI Africa conference in 2023 in Kenya. So I really appreciate that time to spend with you as well.
Jeremiah, why don't you pick it up from here?
Awesome. Thanks, Andrea, for that. That was incredible. Hi, everyone. My name is Jeremiah Hammon, and I am the co-founder of Project Revolution here in Portland, Oregon. And, you know, essentially, we just help project managers lead better so that they can get more results and make their ultimate impact and purpose in the world. I've been working in the project management industry for over 20 years. I'm very passionate about all things project management, including the PMP. Thank you, Lee, for all of your hard work and making it being one of the most incredible certifications in the world. And now I'm extremely excited to be part of the Pure Project Management certification due to the power of all the people that got together to do this. It was really important to bring everybody together to create this credential that now takes projects and shows us how to do things in the real world. And that was it. Like, how do we go from theory to execution and really do it? So I'm extremely excited and honored to be part of this group, to be here with you all, and to be continuing to help grow and commit myself and what we've learned to everybody in the project management community.
All right, Russ, you're on, buddy.
Hey, how's it going? So, Russ Parker, and amongst everyone here, I got probably one of the more unique, ways into project management. I retired from the U.S. Marine Corps back in 2023 now, so coming up on 2 years now. But on my way out, I realized how much what I did for 20 years related to project management. So, got the PMP, and then realized while studying how much I love to risk. So got the RMP as well. And in turn, I've started 44 Risk PM, where I focus on, teaching, coaching, and mentoring, aspiring and new project managers. And got into Pure, talking to Joe, and I love the fact of what he was looking at, what I call tactical level leadership when it comes to tactical level training. Real world, this is how you do it, less about the theory, which is like something I really enjoy and really connected with how I like to work with people.
All right, thanks, Russ. That's the three of you bring a level of experience and applied knowledge that I think is going to pay big dividends for the students. I do want to clarify what pure means. I think I've seen this on LinkedIn. A couple people asked. It's projects under realistic expectations. I think that's very important to understand, because one of the things that attracted me to the program was exactly that. Every time I hear somebody say, I want an accurate estimate, I get shivers up my back. There is no such thing, unless the project's over, then you might be able to estimate it. But I think it's really important that the instructors that I've spoken with really understand the applied aspects. That's what we're trying to get to. Theory's great. I mean, I spent a lot of years dealing with theory, and I've taught over 50,000 people, and my focus has always been on, okay, you got the PMP, now what?
Now
What
what?
do you do with it? So I think it's important that we're kind of filling in that void and answering that question. What are you going to do with it? And the way you all broken out into these separate expert categories, I really didn't think I could get through 29 courses in 8 days. But by golly, I did, because I actually enjoyed it. I mentioned to Joe the other day, I think I learned something new from every darn one of you. And so I appreciate that very much. Let me ask you a couple of questions here. Let me ask you, Russ. I loved your military connection. I couldn't believe how accurate it is to say that when you're in the service for 20 years, I mean, that's probably when you started growing that beard. When you're in the service for 20 years, you're going to learn a lot of project management stuff. And the way you present it really made that point. So I think what I want to ask you, Russ, is what do you really recommend for a student coming in, whether they have the PMP or not? What are the things that they should have on their mind?
They should have a level of openness, just an open mind to learn, because they're sitting down. You're you're going to take in more information than you've probably ever realized, and you're not going to need to regurgitate it all, but you need to understand the concepts, how things all work together. Again, that's kind of like what I talked about the military. Same thing. Like I don't know everything about military theory, but I knew enough to apply what I needed to in the situations we were in. And then in turn, we would study and figure out if we're going to a new area. Obviously, we deploy, we go to all around the world. So you have to learn and adapt to where you're going. And I think that's the great thing about project management whenever you start studying it, is that you just got to get a good grasp of the concepts, and then you adapt to where you're going, which is something I love about the agile mindset. But yeah, you just got to really just adapt. That's what I think. And just be open, be a sponge, and learn.
I think that kind of gets to the point exactly that I think is such a big issue, Russ, and I appreciate that. I think that we also need to say at this point, there's a disadvantage to what we're doing, and I'll be honest with you about that. And that all the programs are virtual. That's an advantage, and I can take them anywhere, anytime I want. That's great. And they come across very, very educational, no problem there. But the situation we're dealing with virtual is if there's any questions, if there's any clarity that needs to be achieved, well, normally you can't do that. But what we've done with Pure is each one of the instructors provide their contact information, and we encourage them to follow up. If you don't get everything you wanted to get, follow up. That's why we're here. So don't feel bad if you walk away from your session going, God, I wish we'd. Well, the wish we'd up to you, and that's what we've been doing. Okay, Andrea, let's move over to you now. You're not a PMI chapter in the Bahamas. I put a lot of pressure on Andrea, but she's too darn tough and held out. So what do you see the impact of project management in the Bahamas?
Well, that's a great question, Lee. And yes, the Bahamas Agile and Project Management Community is not a PMI chapter. We're not a PMI chapter. Let's just make that very much clear. Lee has been trying to wring my arm to get me to start a PMI Bahamas chapter, but I was led to form my own organization. And so that's what we've been doing for going on 5 years now. So what I've been seeing in project management in the Bahamas is a growing awareness that project management is not just for construction workers. It's not just on construction projects. And a few years ago, it was this misconception that project managers were only men. And I found that very astonishing that I went on a radio program and the host of the program said he did not know that females were project managers as well, and that he thought that construction project managers was the only type of project managers that exist in the world. And so I have been on awareness campaign for the past several years, just educating persons in the Bahamas and the Caribbean at large, that project management is so much more. There's so much more aspects to it. It's like an onion with many, many layers, and it just doesn't only just apply to construction. So, I'm an agile project manager. I'm an agilist. So I don't just subscribe to traditional. I'm also in the agile realm as well, and not just in IT. So you have so many branches of project management. You have so many fields that project management go to, and then, like Russ says, it's a transferable skill. So you can take what you learn, your project management skills, and apply them to so many different industries. So that's what I love about it.
Thank you, Andrea. I think she hit on a very good point, probably not even aware that she did. But the fact that women have started to come to the fore in the world of project management. I'm an advisor to a group called Women Power Up. I think Andrea's spoken for them in the past. And what I see is a tremendous interest on the female side, which is a good thing because they bring a real talent to the table. And I've listened to Andrea and watched her enough times to know that the skill level's there. And now what she's doing is transferring it to other people. And we have quite a cast of female instructors for this program to demonstrate that very fact. So I'm excited about it. I thank you, Andrea. Now, I want to get to Jeremiah. I have a suggestion for Jeremiah right off the top. You got to get more enthusiastic, Jeremiah. You can't just be passive. You got to get excited about what we're doing here. So tell us what it'll take to get you excited.
I'm always excited. I'm self-charged. 100% always excited, Lee. I'm excited to be here with you and Russ and Andrea. This is incredible. But you know what gets me excited about project management, Lee? The people. The people do. And one of the things I kind of wanted to go back to what Russ was talking about a little bit. You know, when you ask the question about what should project managers do when they come and take on this credential, one of the things that's really important that I think everybody should recognize is that there's a lot of information here, and it's a really, really good information. And we're talking, it goes in depth in so many different things throughout the whole course that what people should focus on is not just go consume the information. They need to actually plan how they're going to implement it, because that's the whole thing. You know, projects under realistic expectations. That's what PEER really stands for. So when people come in there, really learn and understand what are my gaps in my productivity, where in my career or in my project management am I kind of missing these skills and abilities, this tactical part, as Russ was saying, you know, where there do I need to upskill? And then go in there and hyper focus, but don't just consume the course, go out and put the certification up to say, or the, you know, the certs up on LinkedIn to say, hey, I got the thing. Really take it in and master it. How do we take this one concept and go out and master it? That's important. Actually put it in the day-to-day. So maybe watch one section and then spend 2 weeks really ingraining it so that you can level up, and then you got it and you can keep going to the next level, because they're getting that level of detail and expertise from every person in here. And so the very first thing, if we ever want to level up in our career, is we have to understand ourselves. There's 4 levels of leadership that I personally talk about in my course. And it's the first thing is understanding self so you can inspire others. Because if you're not inspired, you can't inspire. So as you're growing yourself, find those gaps on how you can really figure out how to go out, execute this, manage yourself, then implement it and teach others. And that's the true power of project management. And that's what gets me excited, Lee, right there.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's hard to hold you back. Listen, you brought up a great point, though, Jeremiah. I think that I want to expand on it just a little bit. And that is this concept of leveling up. You know, right now, the big deal is skill building. Let's upscale. And that's gotten to be a buzzword, which translates to take some more classes. Well, the problem is, if you don't do a personal self-assessment of where your weaknesses are, where those gaps are, you might be taking the wrong courses. So it's important that you look at what your skill set really is, not what you think it is, what it really is. And then you can be able to start to select. The beauty of the PEER program is that we've got courses that fill any gap in your development. So it's not as though you've got to worry about it. You're going to get the coverage. What you need to do is make sure you understand where your gaps were and then capitalize on the expertise that's being shared with you. So Russ, how long have you been teaching? Were you teaching in the Marines as well?
So yeah, so I mean, you could always say I was teaching from, you know, you go back all the way to the NCO days before I commissioned as an officer. You know, we had to teach classes. I helped build some curriculums around just some simple processes, and then I taught them out to some of the other Marines. Then as I became an officer, you're teaching, that's half your job, is just teaching and coaching. And then where I really got though into instructing and finding a passion and something that I really enjoyed was actually, if you see behind me, the 44, where it comes from, is a job I had where I was a trainer and a coach for the Marine Corps for units that are preparing to deploy out in 29 Palms, California. We bring military units in and we train them for about 45 days. We put them through really tough scenarios, but my job as a, you know, for the officer side was to really teach and get the lieutenants up to speed on planning, convoy operations, and how they're going to actually apply those skills overseas. And doing that is when I realized how much I loved just working with people and solving problems when it came to education. And getting out of the military, that was something I was looking for. And this, now I'm here, and here really got the, you know, the juices rolling and got me really excited. That's probably why, you know, I got 7 hours of teaching within the course.
Nice.
Yeah, you can do it. So I think it's interesting that if you think about this, the end objective of the teaching in the Marine Corps, for example, it turns out to be a life or death thing, doesn't it? I mean, if you don't do a good job of teaching, it can have a very bad end. We don't have
That's
that
true.
kind of motivation, I guess, in regards to training, and people come and go, take some things and not some things. But I think we need to make sure that people understand the objectives is for you to be able to manage a project to equate to a situation that's quote life or death, success or failure. And I think you guys hold the key to that for many people. I know. I mean, I'm 79, so it's too late for me. But I wish I'd have started with programs like this in the early days. Would have saved me so much pain. And I think you guys do a good job of that. Andrea, give me an example. Give me your best example of an impact in the Bahamas that resulted from your work in Agile or project management.
That's a great question, Lee. An example of impact. Well, I'll have to use the Bahamas Agile and project management community because that's where I feel as though I'm making the most impact by educating persons in project management principles, tools, techniques, and strategies. And like I said, it's homegrown in the Bahamas, but we have a global reach. And in fact, 90% of our members are not Bahamians, which is shocking to some people. It's like, how come you could have a Bahamas led organization, but yet 90% of the persons who are involved in the organization are foreigners? The reason being is that they see the value of it. They see the impact of it. They see that it's growing, it's thriving, and it's bringing attention to project management practices that are not only applicable for the Bahamas, but are relevant to everyone in the world. So, how I demonstrate that impact is by living by example, leading by example. We have a leadership team in our organization. And one thing I do is everything I learn, I share my knowledge. So I'm not just sitting down and being an instructor for pure. I'm taking what I'm learning every day in project management and making sure that everyone around me has that knowledge and can be just as successful as I am in every endeavor that they undertake. So I also implement it in my Toastmasters club because I'm the president of my Toastmasters club. And the first thing I did was implemented a Kanban board and started teaching Kanban from day one because I'm also the first professional Kanban trainer in the Caribbean. So I want everybody to know that there are so many advantages to knowing project management. And everywhere I go, I stress the importance of time management, managing your time, because that's critical. We can't get back the time that's wasted. So I show them that, hey, you're doing all these different things, but it comes from knowing how to manage your time. And I think Russ's second course about prioritization, he and I cover a lot of the same techniques and the strategies and the tools, especially around Moscow and the Eisenhower matrix, because I use those every day. I need to know what's important, what's urgent, and what should get my attention first and foremost. And I also use the 2 minute rule. So it's like these strategies aren't just for project managers. I think these are life skills. And once we can show persons how this can benefit them in their everyday life, then it's not just for a distinct group of people. It's transferable skills that you can use in every part of your life, every aspect, from being a parent, being an entrepreneur, being a teacher, a trainer, a president of a Toastmasters club. Everybody can use these skills in every area of their life. And so that's why I think it's so important that we just continue the conversations about the importance of them.
Thank you, Andrea. I think again, each time either any of you speak, it reminds me of things. I've been saying for years now that everything's a project. Everything's a project. And by definition, then, that makes me a project manager. So everything's a project. Everybody's a project manager. So our market's pretty big. Andrea has incredible reach to the Bahamas. She set up a meeting with a minister once that didn't turn out quite the way she wanted it to, but it was an incredible session where he had a great speech prepared, but I took up all the time, so he didn't get a chance to do his thing. All right, Jeremiah, here's a question. This one's going to be kind of fun for you, I think. Most of us always get feedback after a class. We have evaluation, we have some form of feedback. What I want to know from you, because I really relate to your enthusiastic style, I love it completely. Uh, give me the feedback you've received that had the most impact on you.
I've gotten a lot of really good advice in project management, had some really great mentors. And, one of the things Andreas, was speaking about, women in project management, I've actually been lucky enough to been worked with some of the great, incredible project management women in project management that helped me grow my career. I've been surrounded by great women all my life as growing up, and it's been really, really incredible to see where that's going in the future, making sure that we're all, everybody is being treated equal. That's a big thing for me in my career and all the people I'm around, and especially the future of the world. Some of the greatest advice that I've gotten from project management is lean into conflict. Bad news doesn't get better with time. And a lot of the stuff that a lot of us do is we have to understand our different decision-making styles, our different conflict resolution styles. There's a lot of stuff about us as people that we have to understand, how we interact, how we personally manage ourselves within the moment of crisis. And a lot of it, a lot of us are being triggered by our amygdala. And the problem is we don't recognize it. So we kind of just react in the moment. And so being so self-aware, and I was worked with some great mentors that say, hey, you're kind of shouldn't have said maybe that, or maybe this, and maybe you should have done things a little bit different here. And instead of saying, this is how I'm going to do it, this is how we need to do it, and I was like, oh, I have a growth mindset. So let me really step back and look at myself objectively and how I'm interacting in the moment. And it's kind of hard to do that because usually you react, you have an action, and you have to think about it later. So you have to go through the punches, and we all take our lumps in project management to eventually get to that leader that we want to be. It's really about the leader that our team deserves from us, right? Stepping up to be that leader. And so over time, I had to really spend a lot of time really looking inwards so then I could express myself outward appropriately. And that's been some of the best, information I've gotten back, because I've been able to then, tame the beast, tame the energy, and be enthusiastic in the right way towards the right things to help other people grow themselves. And that's the biggest thing. It's like we have contribution and growth. When we're doing that, we're fulfilled and our life is fulfilled. In project management, that's what we're doing. We're leading others to be able to do that, to make their ultimate impact. And as a project manager, we have to help people understand those situations, but you can't do that if you don't possess it. If you don't possess it, you can't give it. So my feedback for me was all about really understanding myself at the deepest level so I could serve others. And I was lucky enough to have some great mentors. And these are the ladies out there that helped me do that, to understand myself so I could be a better leader for everyone.
Thank you, Jeremiah. I appreciate that. I think there's two words that the PMI organization, Pierre Lamont, has really emphasized this year are adaptability, which is kind of what Jeremiah was talking about, being able to adapt to the situation. And the other was empathy. He's finally drawn down on the empathy concept to understand the mindfulness, be aware that you're not the only one in the world. And so that you can react to those situations. All the good project managers, meaning the successful ones that I've met, I'm sure there are some exceptions, really practice this in their day-to-day activities. You can see it. You can stand on the sideline and watch the personal interactions with people, and you can see that they're adapting as they go based on what the situation is and the people in it. So I think our course on conflict is really, really well done. And I think people, they say we're in constant conflict in project management. I think that's true. I think if you go through the day-to-day activities of a project manager, he or she is dealing with conflict most of the time.
All day long.
So if we don't do it well, it's going to take a toll, not just on the project, but on you as you do that. So I think it's important to really think about adaptability. I didn't do that when I was younger. I remember some things when I was younger. That's one I didn't practice. It was my way or the highway. So you learn through that process, but not to experience the pain that all of us have gone through to get those kinds of things done. Well, listen, we're coming up on our time here, but what I want to do is give each of you a little bit of time to say whatever the heck you want. I think, remember, you're going to be seeing by many. I mean, Joe tells me we've already had over 700 people take the 1 hour free class. Well, the segue is going to be, they're going to be in your house next. So I think it's important for you to sort of give them what your expectations are. Russ, you want to get us start with that?
Yeah, sure. So, man, if I had to think of one thing to kind of leave with, definitely is, I think coming out of the Pure course, two things. One, from the military, when you talk to someone from the military, let them know that they know how to do project management. They use different terminology, and if they need help with that, there's a lot of resources. I can be one of them. Second is that, like you said, prioritization. You always want to make sure that you're finding the right priorities and setting the right priorities for your teams, because that's what's going to drive success. That's something I'm super passionate about, and I love is just making sure that everyone knows their role, what they got to do. And if you need anything, please reach out. Or you just look me up on LinkedIn, Ross Parker, and I'm willing to help you out.
Thank you, Russ. Andrea.
Thank you, Lee. First of all, I want to thank you, Lee, for being my mentor for nearly 5 years now. Since the moment I met you, you've been so inspirational to me, and I'm so glad to have you as the Pure ambassador and a part of our team. If I had to leave one word of advice, I would advise persons who are considering taking the Pure course and the Pure certification to know that it's something that can enhance your life. And I'm not just saying that because I'm one of the instructors. I'm saying it because I've taken the course myself. I've seen the value in what the other instructors are offering. I enjoy all of them. Each one of them, I was able to take a notebook and write a lot of notes about how I want to incorporate what I've learned from those courses into my own life and how I work as a project management consultant. And I would like to just tell you that productivity is a totally different concept from being busy. And in the Bahamas, we have this saying where persons are running around like a chicken with their head cut off. I don't want to be a chicken with my head cut off, and I don't want you to be a chicken with your head cut off. So let's stop being busy and let's start being productive, and let's focus on what really matters. And delivering value is what project management and agile practitioners are all about. We focus on delivering value. And this course is chock full of value, and you won't be disappointed that you made the investment in yourself. So I encourage you to make that investment.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Jeremiah, what do you got to say?
Stay enthusiastic. Now, if I had to really sum this up, I would basically tell everybody again, kind of like what I restated and stated in the first part of this. When you take on something like Pure, make sure you understand what your gaps are. Do your analysis. What is it? Life is your project, right? Everything you're doing is a project. So approach this like a project. Step in here, understand what is the outcome, what is the goal that you want, and master agile techniques, master Scrum, master those incremental deliverables to yourself. Honor yourself when you show up, map it out, do a WBS, right? A little hybrid project management here, a little WBS, get that first epic going, run that backlog, break this stuff down, but implement it. Don't just learn. Learn something, implement it, and track the value that you're adding. Give yourself a performance scorecard on how you're going to, where are you at now? Where do you want to go? How do you track that? Why are you tracking it? And then do it. And then when you get the result, go to the next one and constantly keep reinforcing what you're doing and do the spaced repetition, because then we need leaders right now that know how to implement and execute, right? Deliver results. And that means be adaptable 100%. Know your tools, tailor your tools to your project. This is a project. Don't just go in and eat the whole elephant in one bite, small bites, but implement. We need people implementing.
Very good. Thank you. Well, listen, I've got a couple things to say. You might imagine that you need to understand as instructors in this program that one of the things that you're going to leave on the table when you're done is your legacy. Because I'm getting so old, I'm hearing a lot about legacy. And to me, the legacy is how do people capitalize on my skill set? You need to think about that as an instructor. I've gotten 3 letters from students. Now that's out of 50,000, so I guess the percentage is pretty bad. That basically said this program changed my life forever. Now that's pretty heavy, but the fact of the matter is, you have access to people who are going to have an impact in the future, and I'd like them to be able to say, yeah, if it hadn't been for those peer instructors, I'm not sure I'd be here today. I think that's the legacy I'm looking for, and I think that from the feedback you guys have given me, your hearts are in the right place. It's not about making points. It's not about PDUs. It's about transferring knowledge. And I think you need to understand that we understand that in Pure, and that's our objective, is to pass on knowledge to you that will allow you to be more effective in the world of project management. Thank you guys very much for your time. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward for big things. So it's been fun to get a chance to get to know you.